Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelt, hold on tight. You're in for one crazy, epically cool, and super amazing ride tonight on the Josh Nolan Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube. With me tonight, we have cage kart racing superstar Mikey Mora. He drives car number 55. Welcome to the show, Mikey.
Hello. How have you been today?
Doing pretty good. So, Mikey, let's talk about your awesome racing career. Where did this adventure start for you?
So it first started when me and my dad went to a car show because my family has always been into cars. We went to a car show and we saw a bunch of box stocks there, and I told my dad, Dad, this is what I want to do. And he said, okay, when you're five, I'll get you a box stock. So right around when I turned five, I kept reminding him, and he went out of town and got me a box stock, and it's just been nonstop.
Okay, so Mikey, when you got into your box stock for the first time, did you have instantaneous success getting right off the boat, right off the get go, or did it take you a little while to get used to racing in a box stock?
Yeah, it took a while for me to get used to it. It was a little wild at first because I started a little bit and then we kind of stopped. I got into quads, but after that it's been nonstop. But it did take a while to get actually used to the cart.
Okay, so Mikey, after box stocks, then did you? What was your next step after box stocks?
Well, it's actually 250. Box stock, we were in it for a while because we didn't have as much experience, and actually last September we just moved up to 250.
Okay, very cool, very cool. So Mikey, how much success have you had as a race car driver in box stocks?
In box stocks, I've had a lot of success. I mean, in Chico last year, I won the QRC Cup, but now
Ooh,
I've had a lot of success in the box stock. I've really made a name for myself, but now in the 250 class, um, I'm having to build that reputation up again.
okay. So Mikey, when you're at the racetrack and you're getting things ready to go out for the races and stuff like that, who helps work on your race car?
Well, it's mostly me and my dad and my grandpa, my papa. We're the ones mostly cleaning it, getting it ready. And mostly my dad, I have to thank him for all in getting my stuff ready, getting the like parts, changing my gears. I have to give that all to my dad. But other than that, me and my grandpa clean the car, and we're us three are the ones getting the cart ready.
Okay. So Mikey, let's talk about your race car number now. Where did that number 55 come from?
So, actually, my grandpa, as I said, cars have always been in the family for a long time. My grandpa did derby car racing, and he had a lot of cars, but all the time, his number would be number 55. So that's where I got my number from. It was really passed down.
Okay, very cool, Mikey. So Mikey, being you run box stocks, what is your favorite thing about box stocks that you like about it?
Um, my favorite thing about box stocks is like the the how you have to be on point with it. So in the box stock class, it's perfect or nothing. So it's rather you're getting your line perfect, you're being perfectly consistent, you're doing everything you're told and being fast, or you're being slow. It's That's it.
Okay. So Mikey, who do you have for sponsors on your race car?
Um, so I really don't have. So I'd like to thank my family businesses, More Built Trailers, Moore's Transport, and Moore's Hand Wash. Those are all family businesses that help me out. Um, the bragging rights too. Bragging rights helps with all my merch, all my wear, all my clothing that people wear for me. But other than that, I really don't have any sponsors. This is family. This is all family stuff.
Okay, Mikey, I'd like to help you out a little bit right now. If there's anybody going to be watching this racing show with Mikey Mora, on me on this racing show, definitely reach out to Mikey Mora, his mom Leslie Jellen, his dad Mikey Mora also, because they'd appreciate the sponsorship on Mikey's race car as he gets further into his racing career. So, Mikey, what is your 5-year plan with racing?
So my 5-year plan for racing, I hope to see myself in a sprint car, hopefully going into 410s, but I would like to see myself in a big sprint car.
Okay. And how about your 10-year plan, Mikey? Where do you want to be at in 10 years?
In 10 years, I would hope to see myself in racing with the World of Outlaws, and I would like to see myself as a rally car driver. But
Okay.
yeah,
So, Mikey, who is your racing hero? Who is the race car driver you look up to?
well, there's really I I really look up to people like Carson Macedo and Kyle Larson because those are when I watch World of Outlaws, those are the people who I pay attention to and I actually learn off them, off Kyle Larson's interviews and his shows and Carson Macedo's driving. But those are the people who I look up to.
Have you ever met Carson Macedo and Kyle Larson?
Yes, I've taken pictures with them after races. I've taken pictures with them and I have met them before.
So, Mikey, do you have a racing nickname?
People call me 10-second Tom a lot because how I forget everything. And yeah, I get called that every time. Because like 10 seconds and I forget everything on the racetrack.
Oh boy, oh boy. So, Mikey, when you're at the racetrack and you're strapped into your race car, what helps get you motivated and focused to go on that racetrack?
So my dad tells me a lot of things to get me motivated. Like right before he goes out, right before I go out, I can't even tell you all the stuff that he tells me right before I go out. He is my biggest motivator. And when I go out on the racetrack, everything like goes away. And right before that green flag, it just like drops and all the stress and everything goes away.
Very cool. So, Mikey, when you're at the racetrack and you're getting hungry, what is your favorite thing to eat at the racetrack?
So I like to eat burgers from Cycleland, but sometimes my mom will make some delicious tri-tip or steak or something like that
Oh,
from at the
oh,
racetrack
oh.
or elote cups, corn cups, and those
Okay.
are very good.
So, Mikey, when you're away from the racetrack, what is your favorite restaurant to eat at?
Restaurant, man, that's a tough one. I have a lot of there's a lot of restaurants I'd like to eat at. Maybe like Texas Roadhouse or something.
Okay. And what is your favorite home cooked meal that your mom and dad make for you?
Probably the same thing, corn cups or steak. She makes them really, really
Ooh, okay. So, Mikey, when you're away from the racetrack, what do you like to do for fun away from the racetrack?
for fun, I like to hang out with my friends a lot. I have a lot of friends out there, but a lot of times they have some stuff set up. Like last time, they had a water slide baseball, and they always have cool stuff going on at the racetrack.
Okay. So, Mikey, who are some of your friends at the racetrack?
See, at the racetrack, I have a lot of friends, but at the same time, I don't have friends. I have family. Everybody at the racetrack is a big family. But some really good friends of mine, real brothers of mine, McLean Lorenko, he's a really good driver. The Bentley and Bryce Nelson, um, Kate Andes and Logan Pike. And Aiden Larimer, he's one that's got me a lot around the racetrack.
Okay. So, Mikey, what do your school friends think of you being a race car driver?
Well, some of them are really excited about. Some of them think highly of me about it. Like I have a teacher who's really into it, but some of them don't really think much about it. Some of them look at each other and laugh, but I just shrug it off. It's really mixed.
Okay. So, Mikey, okay. So, Mikey, okay. What is the worst thing you've had happen to you as a race car driver?
Probably my last wreck this last weekend. So how it happened is second place threw a slider on first place, and they got together, and the person who was in front of me clipped the guy who spun out, and I had nowhere to go, so I rammed into him and we flipped. That's probably the worst
Ooh,
thing because my whole cart's destroyed now.
ooh. Hopefully you can rebuild it and get back out there. We'd like to see you back out there, Mikey.
Yeah.
So, Mikey, when you're at the track and you have kids come up to you and say, "Hey, Mikey, can you give us some, uh, give us, how can I put you? Can you give us some oh, advice on how to become a race car driver? Could you? What would the advice you'd be giving them?"
So I would tell them to believe in themselves and trust the cart. Not only trust the cart, trusting themselves and trusting their ability to do stuff. Because if you go out there and believe you're not gonna do good, you're not gonna do good. That's what you're expecting from yourself. But if you go out there and trust yourself and listen to what you're being told by people who are faster than you, you're gonna do good.
So, Mikey, what is your home racetrack you race on?
My home racetrack, so this is kind of hard because the one I live closest to is Hills Ferry, but my home away from home is probably Cycle and Speedway.
Okay. What is your favorite racetrack to race on then?
Probably Cycle and Speedway. I have so many memories there, and it's the fastest I've ever been.
Okay, very cool, Mikey. Very cool. So, Mikey, do you watch any other type of racing?
Um, I like F1 racing, and I watch a lot. Yeah, I watch a lot of F1 racing, but I do watch a lot of drag racing, and that's what I like too. I
Ooh,
love drag racing.
okay, okay. So, Mikey, is there anybody you'd like to give a special thank you out to for helping you get this far with your racing?
I would give a special thanks to my dad, my papa, my mom for making this and giving their all into my family, my racing, my whole family. And a big thanks to the Travis Myers and the whole Myers family and Bubba Nelson and the whole Nelson family, including the Larimers and and James Pike, all the people who helped me out at the racetrack.
So, you said, Mikey, you help work on your race car also. What's your favorite job about working on your race car?
Um, about working on it, my favorite job is probably whatever that fixes it. Really, I mean, cleaning my dad's a nut on me about that, but other just whatever how I can help the race car, whatever makes me go fast.
Very cool, very cool, very cool. So, Mikey, we've gotten to this portion of the show now. I am going to turn the mic over to you. You can ask me some questions. So, I'm going to put you on the spot to kind of throw the curveball my way.
Okay, so my one of my questions for you is have you ever interviewed somebody very famous like Kyle Larson?
I actually interviewed somebody that is, put it this way, Mikey, that is related to somebody very famous, and they're on the verge of becoming very famous. I don't know. Do you ever watch IndyCar racing at all?
IndyCar racing, I don't really watch that a lot. No.
Okay, there is a guy back when I was growing up, long before you, Mikey. Just loved what he did on the racetrack. He just was amazing to watch, and he was from England. He raced IndyCar, and his name was Dan Weldon. I don't know if you've ever heard of that name or not. Dan
Yeah.
Dan won two Indianapolis 500s, 2005, 2011, and then he won the 2005 IZOD IndyCar Championship. I interviewed his two sons, Oliver and Sebastian.
Wow.
And Oliver and Sebastian are racing go-karts through like Hot Car USA stuff, but they have also signed development deals with Andretti Autosport and Michael Andretti.
Wow, that's really cool.
And they are sponsored by Hot Wheels.
That's really cool. What made you want to start this? What made you want to start interviewing?
Just I've been a racing fan for 30 years, 30 plus years, Mikey, and just love the sport of it. I've loved it since I've been 6 years old, and just never really got the opportunity to be a race car driver. And I just thought, well, you know what? I'm going to give it. I'm going to see what happens here. Hopefully things will come my way that I could do something, with the sport of auto racing. And lo and behold, a friend of mine that is a really good friend of mine, he lives about an hour and a half away from me. He races dirt modifieds, and his son races go karts. They are the ones that created this whole idea. They're the ones that said, Josh, we need to sit down and talk to you. And I said, okay, Clay Evans and his son Carter. And they said, Josh, Clay says, I'm a very successful businessman. I own a power washing company that power washes his businesses and homes and everything else, besides being a race car driver. I've been a race car driver for quite a few years, and my son is coming up in the racing ranks. We've noticed one thing. You have a lot of race car drivers on your Facebook page. And I said, well, yes, I do. They said, well, why don't you do something with it? And I said, well, tell me what you suggest I do. And they said, why don't you start out with hosting your own racing show on Facebook Live and see where that leads you. Well, we come out with a business page. We started out with a small audience of maybe 38 people. A year and a half later, Mikey, we were averaging over 2,000 some viewers throughout the USA and Canada.
Yeah.
Well, then all at once, Mark Taylor from out in Virginia, his son races quarter midgets, and him and his wife Samantha, Mark and his wife Samantha, were getting ready to open their own marketing company up. And they're the ones that said, we need to sit down and talk to you. And I said, well, okay. Because I've had Cameron on my racing show a few times. And they said, well, you've gained a lot of success with Facebook Live. We're getting ready to open our own marketing company up, and we want you to be one of our first clients. And I said, well, okay. What are you suggesting? They're like, it's time to make the jump to the big time. Time to make the jump to YouTube. And it's now or never. And I was like, well, I kind of thought about going to YouTube for a long time. And they said, well, are you ready for this? And I said, well, let's sit down and start planning things out. So we come out with like a demo video. And then it was just like, yeah. So yeah, it's slowly taken off.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, that's really cool. But I'm gonna throw another curveball at you. What's your favorite home cooked meal?
Ooh. Ooh. I like a good steak on the grill. Oh, baked potato. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever visit any races like IndyCar, World of Outlaws?
I've visited some World of Outlaw stuff. I've actually been to the Knoxville Nationals 2 years in a row, 98, 99. And then I also go to, it's called a track called Jackson Motorplex. It's called the Egco Jackson Nationals every year. And I've been there 3 or 4 times. And then there's also a track that's just about a half hour east of there called Fairmont Raceway, which is a high bank half mile. They do a lot of IMCA stuff. I've been to the IMCA Boone Super Nationals, which is the hugest IMCA race out here once. But like I said, I have been to my share of tracks, yes.
Okay, yeah, that's really, really cool. Those are some really cool places you've been.
And Mikey, I'll tell you what, one of the biggest things that I've ever had happen to me at a World of Outlaw event, as I was at Knoxville in 99, and your dad and mom could probably recognize this name too. You may recognize this name also. I happened to be there, and the final night of competition, we were sitting on the backstretch because it's really hard to get tickets for the final night. Trust me, been there, did that. We were sitting there, and after the races were over, the guy was with. He's like, "Well, go ahead and take a walk through the pits. I'm going to go ahead and talk to some of the drivers." I said, "Okay, cool." So I was walking through the pits, and was a big Mark Kinzer fan. Mark is out of Oladic, Indiana. He won 3 Knoxville Nationals, I believe. Okay, so I was walking through the pits, and that was 99, and he had won the Knoxville Nationals that year. I was walking through the pits, and they had his car kind of roped off because Knoxville is a huge deal. And I was standing there waiting to talk to Mark, and all at once, this guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, who are you looking for?" And I said, "Well, I'm looking for Mark." They says, "Well, I don't know when he'll be back. He's up doing all the interviews because he won the Knoxville Nationals." But he says, "I have hero cards. Would you like to have your picture taken with me? And I was like, oh, this is really cool. I actually got to have a picture taken with Mikie, legendary crew chief, engine builder, Carl Kinzer.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
That's
And
very cool.
that last year we were there in '99, we were getting our tickets for the final night's competition, and all at once, the ticket lady says to us, she says, "Well, you guys are big racing fans, right?" We says, "Well, yeah, we're here at Knoxville." She says, "Well, got a question for you." She says, "You guys watch NASCAR?" Yeah. She's like, "You ain't gonna believe who was just by here about 20 minutes ago." And we're like, "Who? Please tell us." She's like, "Richard Petty." I was like, okay, the king. Whoa, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, do you have any other questions for me, Mikie?
No, not really. No.
But I'll throw this in there too, Mikie. I have a racing nickname too. I am known as the Full Throttle Rock Star.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Mikie, you get a chance, go on Facebook. There is some awesome kid drivers out there. There is one that Mikie, I'll tell you what, he's out here in the Midwest. He would be some good inspiration for you. He is 18 years old. He just turned 18 in January. He races under the sanctioning body IMCA, but he runs IMCA stock car and IMCA mod. He come up to the ranks much like you are doing right now. And at age 12, his dad says to him, "Dolan, we need to figure out what we can do with your talent. You won a lot of races and everything that you've set foot in." And he says, Dolan's like, "Okay." So they went and talked to IMCA and USRA. And he says, "Well, what can we do with his talent?" This is, "Well, he can't run full time in the big cars till he's 14, but you can put him in the non sanctioned races." Nevertheless, Mikie, he's only 12 years old at this time. Dad's
Yes.
like, okay. His dad's like, okay, I have a backup dirt stock car because I run dirt stock car myself. Let's get his seat mounted in there. Let's see what happens. Well, his sixth night out, Mikie, in non-sanctioned competition, he went out and beat 28 to 29 adults and brought home $900 as a 12-year-old.
Wow. A 12-year-old.
Then, a couple years down the road, he kept getting better and better. A couple years down the road, at age 16, he went to the first ever Bristol Dirt Nationals, Mikie, and won that in IMCA stock car competition and brought home $50,000 as a 16-year-old.
Wow. That's really
And
that's
then
really inspirational.
yes, and then also the Boone Super Nationals is a huge event, Mikie. It's 7 days of racing nonstop on 1/3 mile track, and it covers 5 to 6 classes of cars, and you get 1,000 or 2,000 race cars for 7 days, and it's the best of the best. And this Dolan, he won it 2 years in a row, back to back, in stock cars.
Wow. That's really cool. I mean, I'm
And
about to turn 12.
yes, and Mikie, definitely look him up on Facebook. Dolan Murty, DALLON MURTY.
Okay.
His dad Damon runs the '99D stock car, and Dolan drives the '99X, and they race against each other every weekend. And Dolan has a really funky nickname too, Mikie. You know what his is?
What?
The Game Changer. Because he says, you look at it, he says, "I'm changing the way the game is being played."
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what grade are you in, Mikie?
I'm in 6th grade right now. I just finished off my school year, so I'm technically a 7th grader. So by August, I'll be in 7th grade in 250.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. So, how many racetracks do you have around you, Mikie?
Around me, I mean, locally, like in 5 minutes away, I have Hills Ferry Raceway, and more locally, I have the Churchill Barn Burner and Hanford Speedway.
Okay, around me, Mikie, because I'm up on the northern edge of Iowa. And I'm about 20 minutes from the Minnesota border. So between Iowa and southern Minnesota, we have about 60 plus dirt tracks out here.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about Iowa. We've actually had the chance to move to Iowa, but I don't think we're going to because we have so much family and things down here.
Yeah, yeah. But thank you again, Mikie, for being on the racing show with me tonight, talking to us about your racing career. When you get to the midway point of your racing season, I would love to have you back on here again. If you would be down for that, that would be very cool. But Mikie, thank you again. Before I let you go, Mikie, is there a racing page that the racing fans can follow you on?
Just I think Mikie Mora 3 Racing on Facebook. That's
Okay, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested and want to follow Mikie on his racing career, which I suggest you do, get on Facebook and look up Mikie Mora 3 Racing because you're going to find out a lot about this awesome race car driver right here, Mr. Mikie Mora III. But with that being said, Mikie, I will let you step out. I will call you a little bit to thank you in person. It has been my pleasure to have you on board with me tonight.
okay. Thank you for having me. Actually, this is my first.
I will call you a little bit to thank you in person.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yes, yes. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mikie Mora III out of California, racing box stocks. Very, very awesome kid to follow on Facebook. Also, ladies and gentlemen, definitely give a little racing news update for you there. Let's see here. Racing news update time. Last weekend was the Indianapolis 500. Very thrilling race. Got down to a green, white, checkered finish. The winner on his 13th attempt at winning at racing in Indy 500 was from Nashville, Tennessee, Joseph Newgarden, and the number 2, Shell Pennzoil Penske Racing Chevrolet IndyCar. So congratulations to Joseph Newgarden and Team Penske, along with Shell and Shell and Pennzoil. Also, ladies and gentlemen, definitely second place was last year's champion, the number 8 Marcus Ericsson on the Husky Chocolates in Honda Chip Ganassi IndyCar. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's pretty cool to have Joseph Newgarden finally win the Indy 500. Definitely. And to cap off the weekend, the Coke 600 was won by the number 12 of Ryan Blaney. So congratulations to Team Penske for having an awesome weekend. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. But like I said, the quarter midget kids, they're off on they're on their national, they have a huge national tour thing this weekend. The dirt kids are in Tri-City Speedway and Granite City Speedway in Granite City, Illinois. And then the other kids are out in, the pavement kids are out in Portland, Oregon for a national event. So good luck to all them drivers competing in those events. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, just definitely have a good racing weekend coming up. Go to a racetrack if you're around one. Go watch a racing event. Watch it on TV if you're there, if you want to do that. But also, ladies and gentlemen, definitely start looking at these kids because these kids are the future of auto racing. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank my sponsors, Marion Motorsports, New England Hemophilia Association, everybody associated with my racing show. And if you would like to sponsor my racing show or be a part of my racing show, you can email me at jjnolan151@gmail.com, or you can text or call me at Josh Nolan or at 712-209-7138. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you have a good night. Catch you later. Another episode of the Josh Nolan Full Pro Racing Show. #1 on YouTube.